You are 14 years old. You stand in the atrium of your father's house, a silent statue in the heart of your own home. The sounds of Rome, a city that roars with the constant lifeblood of empire, are muffled here, softened by the thick stone walls. You can't hear the vendors hawking their wares in the forum, nor the distant, thunderous cheers from the Colosseum that sometimes carry on the wind. All you hear is the gentle splash of water in the impluvium at the center of the room, a sound that has marked every day of your life, but today it sounds like a clock, ticking down the final seconds of your existence as you know it. The air is heavy, thick with the cloying scent of incense offered to the household gods and something else, something metallic and sharp lurking beneath it. It's the smell of dread. Your childhood is officially over. Just this morning, the bulla, the golden locket you have worn around your neck every single day since you were an infant, a charm to ward off evil spirits, was ceremoniously removed. Its familiar weight is gone, leaving a cold spot against your skin. It now rests on the family altar, a sacrifice to the Laras, the guardian deities of your family. You are no longer a child to be protected. You are now a woman, and you are for sale. Your father, the pater familias, stands across the room. He is the absolute master of your life, a god within these walls. By law, he holds the power of life and death over his entire household, including you. He isn't looking at you. His gaze is fixed on another man, a guest who sits with the stiff posture of immense wealth and political ambition. This is your future husband. He is a senator, a man whose name is whispered in the curia, his face a grim mask of hardened lines. He is twice your age, maybe more, and his first wife, you've heard the servants whisper, died screaming in childbirth not even a year ago. You are not part of the negotiation. You are the subject of it. An object being appraised. You stand with your eyes downcast, as you have been taught, feeling the weight of their words, their calculations, their ambitions, all settling upon your slender shoulders. You are a living bridge between two powerful families. You are a vessel for a future heir, the key to continuing a bloodline. You are a political asset, a pawn in a game played by men who move families like game pieces on a board. Your opinion is not requested. Your consent is not required. Your fear is irrelevant. This isn't just a casual discussion about your future. It is your sponsalia, your formal betrothal ceremony, stripped of all warmth and reduced to a cold, hard transaction. The words they exchange are not about you, but about what you represent. They speak of your dowry, a list of properties, a sum of money that could buy a fleet of ships, and a tally of slaves, including the handmaidens who dressed you this morning. This dowry is not yours. It never will be. It is the price your father pays to transfer ownership of you from his house to another. It is a testament to his wealth and a measure of your value. The senator, your future husband, nods slowly, his eyes finally flickering towards you. It is not a look of affection, or even interest. It is the look of a farmer examining livestock. Is she healthy? Is she well-bred? Will she produce strong sons? His gaze lingers for a moment, and you feel a chill that has nothing to do with the cool marble floor beneath your bare feet. The negotiation is concluded with a simple, sharp nod from your father. A servant is summoned. He brings a small, ornate box. From it, your future husband takes an iron ring, an annulus pronubis. It is cold and heavy. He does not ask for your hand. He takes it. His grip is firm, his skin dry and rough against yours. He slides the unadorned iron band onto the third finger of your left hand. It feels less like a piece of jewelry and more like a shackle. They told you why this finger is chosen. The Romans believed a special nerve, the vena amoris, ran directly from this fingertip to the heart. It is a poetic notion, a lie wrapped around a brutal truth. They are not asking for your heart. They intend to own it, along with the rest of you by law, by custom, and by this cold, binding promise of iron. You look down at the ring. It is plain, severe, and absolute. It marks you. You belong to him now. You are now legally bound, your entire life, every day from this moment until your last breath, signed away on a wax tablet that you were not permitted to read. This contract is the first cut, the first deliberate mark of many that history will now proceed to carve into your body and your soul. These are the wounds that create the past, the brutal truths that are so often glossed over by stories of glory and empire. If you believe these stories need to be told, that these scars, hidden on the silent half of history, must be remembered and examined, then subscribe to the History Scar. We believe that looking away is a betrayal of the past. But if you think this is simply how things were, and that these stories should be left in peace, then perhaps you can tell us in the comments why some scars are better left buried. The time between your betrothal and your wedding is a blur of suffocating preparations. You are taught the duties of a matrona, the mistress of a great house, but you are not taught how to be a wife, only how to be an obedient one. The days bleed into one another until the morning of the ceremony arrives, not with joy, but with the cold finality of a death sentence. Your wedding day begins in the pre-dawn gloom. Your mother, her face a mask of resigned sorrow, dresses you. There is no white gown of purity. You are dressed in a tunica recta, a simple, straight woolen tunic, woven in one piece on a traditional loom. It is the color of undyed wool, plain and functional. Your hair, however, is another matter. It is painstakingly divided into 6 special locks using the point of a bent spearhead, a chilling symbol of being taken by force, a relic from Rome's earliest days when wives were stolen from neighboring tribes. Each lock is carefully braided and bound with ribbons. You are being ritually prepared, not as a bride, but as a spoil of war. Over your elaborate hairstyle, your mother places the flammeum, a veil of deep, flame orange. It is meant to make you look like a walking torch, but its true purpose is to obscure. It falls over your face, and the world dissolves into a watery, orange haze. Through it, you see the blurry shapes of your family, their faces distorted and strange. You are being separated from them, visually and spiritually, even before you leave the house. You are already becoming a ghost in your own home. The ceremony begins with a sacrifice. A pig is brought before the family altar, its life offered to the gods. An Etruscan priest, a haruspex, reads the entrails, his hands slick with blood. He is not looking for signs of your future happiness, but for the gods' approval of this union, this transfer of property. The omens must be favorable for the business to proceed. Today, he declares, they are. Your heart sinks. There is no divine intervention, no escape. Then comes the moment of transfer. Your husband-to-be arrives with his own procession of family and clients. There are no vows as you would know them. Instead, your hands are joined, and in the most ancient and solemn form of marriage, you and he sit together on stools draped with the skin of the sacrificed animal. But the true climax is a terrifying act of symbolic violence. In a ritualized capture, your husband seizes you. He rips you from your mother's desperate embrace, her grip the last familiar thing you will feel today. You cry out, but your voice is lost in the choreographed chaos. It is a public performance demonstrating that you are no longer your father's property. You have been taken. The procession to your new home begins as dusk settles over the city. It is a loud, raucous affair. Torches of pine and hawthorn are lit, casting flickering, monstrous shadows on the walls of the city. Flute players create a shrill, piercing melody. Behind you, a crowd of your family, his family, and drunken onlookers follows. They sing the Fescennine verses, crude, insulting, and obscene songs. The jokes are about your husband's virility and your impending ordeal. They are shouted for all to hear, a way to ward off evil spirits with sheer lewdness, but all it does is make you feel naked, exposed, the subject of a city's worth of jeering speculation. Looming over this entire spectacle is the legal reality of what has just occurred. You have been married in Manu, into the hand. It is the most traditional and most complete form of marital subjugation. The law now sees you as having legally died to your own family. You have been reborn into your husband's. You are now, in the cold eyes of Roman law, his daughter, subject to his absolute authority with no more rights or independence than his own children. Your lineage, your name, your very legal identity has been wiped clean and rewritten. The alternative, a marriage sine manu, without the hand, would have allowed you to remain under your father's legal authority and retain some property rights, but your union is one of ancient tradition. Your fate is the older, harsher path. You have been utterly consumed by another family. Finally, you arrive at his house. It is larger than your own, a fortress of wealth and power. You are not allowed to walk through the door. To stumble on the threshold would be a catastrophic omen. Instead, you are lifted by his attendants and carried over it, another symbol of your unwilling capture. Once inside, the sounds of the city are silenced by the heavy closing of the oaken door. The air is still and smells of different oils, different foods, a different life. Your husband turns to you in the torchlight of his own atrium. He does not touch you. He presents you with two things: fire and water, the essential elements of a home. Then he hands you the keys to the domus, heavy, bronze keys that feel like chains in your grasp. You are not his partner in life. You are the new manager of his property, the chief warden of your own prison. You've been transferred like chattel, your identity legally erased, your past severed. The imposing walls of this grand domus are now the boundaries of your entire world. We watch these histories from a comfortable distance, through the safety of a screen, but something about this state-sanctioned annihilation of a person still feels chillingly, unnervingly familiar. Your new life begins not with a sunrise, but with the cold, silent darkness before dawn. The first sound you hear is the shuffling of slaves' feet on the mosaic floors. Your day has a rhythm, but it is not your own. It is the rhythm of the domus, this grand, golden cage where you are now both prisoner and warden. You are the domina, the mistress of the house. This is not a title of power. It is a title of immense, crushing responsibility. The keys your husband gave you are a constant weight at your hip, a reminder of your duties. You are in charge of everything within these walls. You oversee the kitchens, ensuring the meals are prepared to your husband's satisfaction. You manage the storerooms, rationing out grain, oil, and wine with an exacting eye. An ounce wasted is an offense against the family's prosperity, and the blame will fall on you. Your primary and most complex task is managing the household slaves. Dozens of them. They are your husband's property, just as you are, but you are expected to command their every action. You must be firm but not wantonly cruel, efficient but not familiar. Their health, their work, their discipline, it all falls to you. If a slave is lazy, it is your failure of management. If one falls ill from neglect, it is your poor stewardship. You live in a state of constant vigilance, surrounded by people who are not your friends, who may resent you, and over whom you wield a fragile authority granted only by your husband. You are their master, but you are his servant. The centerpiece of your existence, the very symbol of Roman female virtue, is the loom. In the main atrium, where any visitor can see you, you are expected to spend hours each day, spinning wool into thread, weaving that thread into cloth. It is not a hobby. It is your most sacred work. Your fingers, once soft, grow calloused from the raw wool. The rhythmic clack-clack of the loom weights becomes the soundtrack to your life. This is the work of a good wife. It demonstrates modesty, thrift, and unwavering dedication to the family. To be idle is to be suspect. To buy expensive imported silks instead of producing your own cloth is to be decadent and immoral. So you sit, and you weave, your posture perfect, your expression placid, a living monument to domestic duty as your husband's clients and political allies pass through the atrium, noting your virtuous industry with approving glances. You live your life under the suffocating weight of a single word, pudicitia. It is a word that is carved into the very soul of every Roman woman of your class. It means far more than just chastity. It is a complete code of conduct, a prison of modesty. It demands absolute fidelity, not just of the body, but of the gaze, the voice, the spirit. You rarely leave the house. The vibrant, chaotic world of Rome is something you only glimpse. When you must go out, to visit the temple or another family, you are transported in a litter, a curtained box carried on the shoulders of slaves. You are hidden from public view. On the rare occasion you must walk, you are heavily veiled and accompanied by a retinue of slaves who form a protective, isolating barrier around you. Your eyes must always be downcast. To meet a man's gaze in the street is an act of shocking forwardness. To be looked upon is to be questioned. Your very presence in public is a liability, a potential stain on your husband's honor. Your friendships are managed. Your conversations are monitored. Every word you speak is weighed. A laugh that is too loud, a jest that is too clever, a political opinion that is too informed. These are not signs of a keen mind, but of a dangerous, unwomanly character. You are a mirror, meant only to reflect your husband's status and honor. Any crack in your perfect, polished performance shames him, and that is a transgression he will not tolerate. This social prison is reinforced by the cold, hard walls of the law. Your marriage in Manu has made you a legal ghost. You have no independent standing. You cannot enter into a contract, even to buy a piece of fruit at the market. You cannot inherit property in your own right or pass any on. Your dowry, once a proud testament to your family's wealth, is now legally part of your husband's estate, to be managed and controlled by him. Your testimony is not considered valid in a court of law. If a crime were to happen before your very eyes, your account would be legally worthless. You are an observer of life, not a participant in it. The future offers no escape, only a different form of dependence. Should your husband die, you will not inherit his grand house or his vast fortune. It will all pass to his male heirs, your sons. You will be permitted to live here, to be cared for, but you will be at their mercy. The small boys you raise, who once clung to your tunic, will one day become your legal guardians. From your father's hand, to your husband's, to your sons, you will never, ever be your own. This is your life. A gilded cage of immense wealth and absolute powerlessness. An endless cycle of domestic tasks, social scrutiny, and legal non-existence. You are the beating heart of the Roman domus, yet you are invisible. You are the engine of the household, yet you own nothing. Your entire world has shrunk to the size of these walls, and within them, you must perform your duty with flawless, silent perfection, day after day, until you either produce an heir or die trying. This is the slow, methodical erasure of a human soul, not by a single act of violence, but by the crushing, daily weight of a system designed to render you a function, not a person. We focus on the grand battles and political intrigues of Rome, but this was the silent, grinding reality for half its population. The seasons turn, marked by the religious festivals that your husband meticulously observes. Your life, once measured by the sun and moon, is now measured by the flow of blood from your own body. Each month that it comes is a failure. A silent, personal failing that hangs in the air between you and your husband. Your value as a matrona, your management of the domus, your perfect woven cloth. It all means nothing without the one thing you were acquired to produce. An heir. The pressure is immense, a physical weight. Your husband's visits to your bed are not acts of intimacy. They are clinical, purposeful, and grimly silent. He is planting a seed in his field, and he expects a harvest. When your monthly bleeding finally ceases, there is no celebration, only a quiet, anxious waiting. You are now fulfilling your primary function. You are pregnant. This is not a time of joyous anticipation. It is a trial of the body, a 9-month ordeal steeped in fear and superstition. Roman medicine, for all its architectural and military genius, is a primitive art. It understands little of what is happening inside you. Your health is entrusted to a mixture of folk remedies, appeals to the gods, and the often contradictory advice of the household's Greek physician. You are told to avoid certain foods, to wear special amulets, to recite prayers to Juno, the goddess who oversees every aspect of a woman's life, from menstruation to childbirth. Every strange ache, every moment of sickness, is a potential catastrophe. The line between life and death for a pregnant woman is perilously thin, and you walk it every single day. Many women of your class, your own friends and relatives, have embarked on this journey and never returned. The day your labor begins, the house transforms. It becomes a closed, tense, female world. Men are banished. Your husband will pace in his study, awaiting news, but he is forbidden from the room where life and death now wrestle for your soul. You are attended only by your most trusted female slaves and a midwife, an older woman whose face is a roadmap of other women's suffering and whose hands are stained with the memory of 1,000 births. The ordeal is terrifying. The pain is a living thing, a monstrous beast that tears at you from the inside. There is no anesthesia, no relief. You are given bitter herbs that are meant to speed the process but only make you vomit. You are forced to walk until your legs buckle, then made to squat for hours, your body pushed to its absolute limit. The midwife chants prayers, her voice a low drone against your own rising screams. The room is dark, the air thick and suffocating. You lose all sense of time. Hours bleed into a day into a night. You are no longer a Matrona, no longer a person. You are a vessel, a conduit for a new life, and if the vessel breaks in the process, it is a regrettable but accepted loss. After an eternity of agony, it is over. A new cry fills the room, thin, fragile, and piercing. Exhaustion crashes over you, so profound it feels like death itself. But you cannot rest. The most brutal part of your ordeal is yet to come. The midwife cleans the child, swaddles it, and then she walks past you. She does not place the baby in your waiting arms. This is the most terrifying reality of Roman life, the ultimate expression of the paterfamilias's power. The midwife carries the infant out of the birthing room and into the atrium where your husband waits. The entire household falls silent. She does not speak. She stoops and places the child, your child, on the cold marble floor at his feet. Everything stops. Your own breath catches in your throat. Your husband looks down, his face unreadable. He inspects the infant with the detached air of a magistrate examining evidence. Is it well-formed? Does it cry with vigor? And the most important question of all, is it a boy? This is his judgment. If he accepts the child, he will bend down and lift it from the floor. This simple gesture is the tolera liberum. It is an act of legal adoption into the family. It means the child will live. It will be named, cared for, and raised as a Roman citizen. But if the baby is sickly, or female when he desired a male, or if he simply decides he cannot afford another mouth to feed, he will do nothing. He will look at the child on the floor for a moment longer, then turn his back and walk away. That gesture is a death sentence. The child is considered exposed. It will be taken by a slave and left outside, on the steps of a temple or at the edge of the city dump. There it will die from the cold, from starvation, or be torn apart by stray dogs. Or perhaps, it will be picked up by a pimp or a slave trader, its life destined for a different kind of misery. You have no say. You endured the pregnancy, you survived the agony of birth, your body has been ripped and torn to bring this life into the world, but you have absolutely no right to protect it. You can only lie in your bed, slick with sweat and blood, and wait for the verdict of the man who owns you both. Today, he walks away. You hear the footsteps receding. There is no sound from the atrium. No cry of celebration. Only a profound, deafening silence that confirms your deepest horror. You see the midwife re-enter the room, her face grim, her arms empty. You do not need to ask. You know. A part of you has just been condemned to die, and you were powerless to stop it. You open your mouth to scream, but no sound comes out. Imagine that silence. Imagine that moment of absolute, soul-crushing powerlessness. The life you created, condemned by the silent gesture of a man. This is a scar so deep it tears a hole in the fabric of humanity itself. This is the history that is written not in stone, but in the silent tears of forgotten women. The emptiness in your arms is a phantom limb, an ache that never subsides. But grief is a luxury you cannot afford. To show too much sorrow for the child your husband condemned is to question his judgment, an act of insubordination. So you swallow your pain, choke it down until it becomes a hard, permanent knot in your chest. Your life must go on, governed not by emotion, but by the ironclad laws of your husband, your city, and your gods. You have learned in the cruelest way imaginable that your body is not your own. You will now learn that your very life is held on loan, subject to a set of rules so skewed, so profoundly unjust, they could only have been written by men. The cornerstone of your existence is the absolute, terrifying double standard of adultery law. Under the Lex Julia, the law of the land, your fidelity is not a choice. It is a matter of life and death. If you are discovered in an act of adultery, your husband has the legal right to kill your lover on the spot. And for you, he or your own father, the man who sold you into this life, can execute you. There would be no trial, no appeal. Just the swift, righteous violence of a man whose property has been defiled. The accusation alone is enough to ruin you. A rumor, a lingering glance, a letter found. Any of these could be twisted into a death sentence. You live in a state of constant, guarded purity, where every interaction is weighed against the possibility of annihilation. Your husband, however, lives by no such rules. His freedom is absolute. He can, and does, engage in affairs without consequence. He may take a slave girl from your own household to his bed, and you are expected to know and to accept it in silence. His actions are not considered adultery. A man cannot defile his own household. He can only have it defiled by another. His dalliances with prostitutes, courtesans, or even the wives of lower-class men are not just tolerated. They are an expected part of being a powerful Roman man. Your duty is to remain pure, a pristine vessel for his legitimate bloodline. He is free to do as he pleases. This is the law. You are a locked garden. He is the master who holds the key, and who is free to wander any other field he chooses. This legal vice is tightened by the ever-present threat of divorce. For your husband, ending your marriage is devastatingly simple. There are no court proceedings, no lengthy negotiations. He only needs to declare, in front of a witness, the cold formal phrase, tuas residential tibi habito. Take your things and go. With those 5 words, your life is unmade. You are cast out. Legally, he is supposed to return your dowry, but Roman men were masters at finding legal loopholes. He could accuse you of immorality or poor household management, claiming deductions against the dowry for your failures. He could tie the matter up in legal challenges for years, leaving you in a state of limbo. So you live with this unspoken threat hanging over your head every single day. If your cooking displeases him, if you fail to produce a son on the next attempt, if he simply grows tired of you or finds a more politically advantageous match, he can erase you from his life with a single sentence. This fear is a more effective chain than any iron shackle. It ensures your perfect, smiling obedience. It compels you to manage his household flawlessly, to endure his moods without complaint, to accept his infidelities with a placid expression. You are always performing, always striving to be indispensable, because you know you are utterly disposable. And beneath all of this lies the ancient, foundational power of the Roman man, the specter of violence. The old laws, the vitae nisique potestas, the power of life and death that a father held over his children, still echo in the foundations of your marriage. While a husband in this era might not legally be able to execute you for burning dinner, the principle of his absolute authority remains. The law permits him to discipline you, to correct you physically. What happens within the walls of the domus is a private matter. If his anger over a poorly woven tunic or a defiant glance results in bruises, there is no one to whom you can appeal. To complain would be a public disgrace, a confession of your own failure to please your husband. Violence is not seen as a crime. It is seen as a tool for maintaining household order. You learn to read the subtle shifts in his mood, the tightening of his jaw, the flicker in his eye. You learn to make yourself small, to be invisible, to navigate your own home like a mouse in a house of cats, because you know that his displeasure can manifest not just in cold silence or verbal dismissal, but in physical pain. Powerlessness was the law. A word could unmake your life. A suspicion could end it. This intricate legal framework was not a system of justice designed to protect all. It was a weapon, a sophisticated instrument of control, and it was aimed squarely and intentionally at you. The scars left by these unjust laws are the hardest to heal because they were inflicted by the very structure of society. If you want to help us trace these wounds through time, to understand how legal systems can be built to empower some while crushing others, then subscribe to the History Scar. But if you believe this is simply how societies evolve, that these were necessary steps to build an empire, then we invite you to the comments. Tell us why we shouldn't judge the laws of the past. Years pass. You survive another pregnancy, and this time, the gods are merciful. You produce a son. Your husband lifts him from the floor. Your position in the house is, for the first time, secure. You raise your son, and then another daughter. You watch them grow. You watch your husband grow older, his political power reaching its zenith before beginning its slow, inevitable decline. And then, one day, he is gone. A fever takes him in a matter of days, leaving you, at the age of 35, a widow. For a brief moment, the silence in the house feels like freedom. The weight of his presence, his moods, his demands, is lifted. But this freedom is an illusion. You are now a Roman widow, a new and complex social category with its own set of rules. You are respected for your loyalty, especially if you choose to remain in Univira, a woman of one man, a title of great honor. It is the one choice that seems to be yours. But even that choice is not truly free. The Emperor Augustus, in his drive to increase the population of the upper classes, has passed laws that penalize the unmarried and the childless. As a widow of childbearing age, you are under immense social and legal pressure to remarry. An unmarried widow is a waste of a fertile womb, a disruption to the social order. Your sons, now your legal guardians, begin to receive offers. Your life is once again a negotiation, a potential merger of estates, handled by the very children you raised. You are still a prize to be passed on, a vessel to be filled. You resist, and for a time, your status as a respected Matrona protects you. The years continue their silent march. Your body, a veteran of multiple pregnancies and a lifetime of stress, begins to betray you. The chronic pains settle deep into your bones. You have outlived your husband, your parents, most of your friends, and several of your own children who were taken by sickness or accident. You are a lonely monument in a decaying house, the keeper of ghosts. You die at 42. There is no single cause. It is not a dramatic illness or a sudden event. It is a quiet fading, a final surrender of a body and spirit that have been worn away, eroded by a lifetime of duty, submission, and loss. Your final breath is a quiet sigh of release in the stillness of your bedchamber. Your funeral is a grand, respectable affair, befitting the widow of a great senator. Your sons, now powerful men in their own right, ensure all the proper rites are observed. There is a public procession, a eulogy praising your virtues, and a tomb built on a road leading out of the city, so that all who pass may see the honor of your family. And on that tomb, they carve your legacy. An inscription, for all of eternity to read. It says, Dis manibus, to the spirit of the departed. Here lies Julia, daughter of Gaius. She lived 42 years. A pious and dutiful wife, she was obedient to her husband in all things. She was a fine spinner of wool, a keeper of the home, a modest and frugal Matrona. She bore 3 children and remained, after her husband's death, a faithful Univira. Stranger, as you pass, acknowledge her virtue. That is your story now. Your entire life, the terror of your betrothal, the agony of childbirth, the silent scream as your baby was condemned, the constant fear of divorce and violence, the gnawing loneliness, all of it is gone. It has been washed away, replaced by a perfect, polished, and hollow summary. Your suffering has been sanitized into obedience. Your endurance has been rewritten as simple virtue. Your humanity has been erased. This is the final scar, the complete and utter annihilation of your truth. Your name is on a stone, but you are gone. History will remember the men who owned you, the laws that bound you, and the sons you produced. But it will forget your voice, your fears, your quiet moments of despair and resilience. It will forget you ever truly lived. Our mission at the History Scar is to listen for those voices in the silence between the carved letters. It is to look at the perfect inscriptions and see the brutal reality they were designed to conceal. We believe that remembering is an act of rebellion against the erasures of the past. If you will listen with us, and help us ensure that these lives, these souls, are never truly lost, then subscribe. And if you are one of the few who has watched this entire story to the very end and still will not, then please, honor the woman you have just met by leaving one final comment. In the silence of this tomb, tell her why her life isn't worth remembering.